Sing me a song of a lass that is gone.
Hello and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Kaylee and today is Tuesday, which means it's Outlander Day. Now, every single Tuesday, I bring out a different Outlander related video to help us all get through the Droughtlander period or until we have something new to talk about, e.g. the new book or the new television series, which will be season 6. But until then, every single Tuesday, I will continue to bring out a new Outlander video. Continuing on from a series that we started a couple of weeks ago, I am now reviewing each and every single episode of season 1 currently until we get through all of the episodes, which is just fantastic. I mean, any excuse to rewatch, not that I need an excuse to rewatch, but now I'm actually rewatching for the purpose of these videos to not just have it in the background, but have something that I can be like, okay, now, oh, I love that scene. Yeah, I'll talk about that. Or, oh yeah, I love that. And today's episode, I've actually, even though I've watched this series 1,000 times, I noticed something, or I picked up on something again on this rewatch that I haven't on any other time. So I'm going to get into that a little bit later on because it's near the end of the episode. But today's episode was The Way Out. Now, it is season 1, episode 3, and this episode, I forgot how much I actually enjoy it. It's one of my favourites. And right near the beginning, it's Mrs. Fitz who just brings everything to life for me. I love the character of Mrs. Fitz. So when Claire is getting dressed or when she's having breakfast or whatever, Mrs. Fitz comes into the room and you see Claire telling Mrs. Fitz that she's from the future, and the reaction of Mrs. Fitz with the slap to Claire and calling her a witch. Obviously, we find out that it is a dream, or not a dream, it's what Claire believes will happen if she tells Mrs. Fitz that she's from the future. But watching the entire scene play out is just absolutely fascinating. And even during that, I just love Mrs. Fitz. Even though when I'm watching it, you think, oh, don't tell her, but now she doesn't like you. I still love Mrs. Fitz's reaction. It is priceless. Another key thing about this episode that I truly love is Angus and Rupert. Their banter when they're following Claire around, when they're in the kitchen and Mrs. Fitz is giving them a bit of like, well, is she at the bottom of the glass there or at the bottom of the mug? You know, those characters were portrayed so wonderfully, and we know that they're different from the book. There's not as much sort of dialect in the books for Angus and Rupert, but I'm just so thankful that they got to become such big side characters in the series. I absolutely adore Angus and Rupert. This show brings out so many characters, even the evil baddies. I love them. I love to hate them. There's just nobody in this entire series or show that I think has been portrayed wrong or casted wrong. The casting did a fantastic job for this whole series. But Rupert and Angus in particular, spot on. And this episode, I just absolutely love their banter and the conversations that they have. It's also this episode, though, that you really do start to get a sort of feeling towards Gayless Duncan. Now, if you're on your first initial watch, you're still questioning if she is good or evil, and there are certain moments where you think she has to be evil and she's just manipulating the situation. And then, of course, we see her actually manipulate her husband into allowing the sentencing of the boy who, I forgot, did he steal something or whatever? Instead of having his hand cut off, you know, she manipulated the husband to allow the sentencing to be less, even though, I don't know, getting your ear nailed to a pillar to me is still pretty harsh. But you can see she has that manipulating ability of her husband. And when I first saw that, I was like, that's going to come into play, that she can manipulate people to sort of get her way without her being the main factor or drawing too much attention to herself. You also notice in this episode how inquisitive she is towards Claire, and you do definitely pick up vibes of, there's just something about you, Gayless. Are you really a witch? Are you... what are you? And just portrayed fantastically as everybody else, but just, yeah, there's something about Gayless in this episode that you're just like, there's something there with you. Father Bane obviously plays a very big part in this episode, and it's really early, like, revealed that he is just evil. Gayless talks about how he's evil. Mrs. Fitz sort of gives off vibes that he's evil. Then we meet him and we definitely see he's evil. He is I don't like him. I don't like Father Bane at all. Even from the very first moment I seen him, I was like, there was something sus about him. And then he just acted nastily towards everybody. But the fact that everybody already had this interpretation of Father Bane and was telling Claire, you know, oh, avoid him, you know, he's just evil. Father Bane, I mean, what more can you say? He's an evil character, and we know, obviously, if you've seen the entire season, he's not the big bad evil for the year, but he definitely is one of those characters that I despise him. Even in the littlest parts that he plays, I think to myself, just get off the screen, I don't like you. You are evil, evil, evil. But of course, Mrs. Fitz standing up to Father Bane was one of my other highlights for this episode. I love that near the end, you know, Mrs. Fitz comes in and is like, no, this was my sister's house and it was my father's house and we will do what we want, get out, basically, and tells him off. I absolutely love it, because who is going to really go up against Mrs. Fitz? Even Father Bane sort of had to bow down a little bit and take a leave. And that really did show how much pull Mrs. Fitz also has for the fact that she was able to tell him that. And he didn't really put up too much of a fight at that point. He sort of just disappeared with like a vengeful look, which should be very concerning for future episodes. Oh, of course, a very big key point of this episode was our beloved Jamie kissing Leary. Now, obviously, Claire sees this and has a bit of a banter with Jamie about it, embarrasses him a little bit in front of Murta. And this part of the entire thing, it really, I don't know how I feel about it. We know what happens later on, and if you haven't and you're just a first-time watcher, I'm not going to spoil it too much, but we know that Leary is evil, and I don't know, Jamie just didn't show much interest in her at all and says that he can't remember things about her, but he's then kissing her. I don't know. I just feel like the Jamie character wouldn't have actually done that, but they needed to put it in, as in the books or whatever, the TV series, like it just needed we need a little bit of a spin here. But I just, in my mind, book and TV Jamie just wouldn't have kissed Leary at all. But I'm not, you know, the magnificent Diana Gabaldon. She can create and do whatever she wants and we'll all believe her. But I just didn't see that happening in my mind of Jamie. And then it happened and I was like, oh, no, that's going to end badly. It's going to end really badly. Now, as I said earlier, there was something in this episode that I have finally it sort of clicked in my brain, the possibilities. Now, at the end of the episode, when Claire and Jamie are sitting and the harpist, or I think that's what you call them, harpists, the guy playing the harp, was singing the song, which, now, during watches, I have obviously realised that, you know, the song is basically telling Claire's story and how, you know, she went through the stones, she fell in love, she made friends, but then she went back through the stones. But I don't know why I never thought about having the discussion of, well, who exactly told the songwriter the story of Claire? It is, and it's not confirmed that it's the story of Claire, but I mean, it has to be. Who else is going through the stones, making loved ones, and then going back? I don't think we know of anyone that actually went back and then resumed their life yet. But if someone in the past knows this song, who was it that told them? Which, like, this is a question for the larger overall sort of ness of the series and the books. Like, are we going to discover at the end that Claire's story is actually well known throughout time and sort of plays a part? Like, it just blows my mind that I didn't think about, somebody has actually told the guy writing the song the story, which is Claire's story. So has Claire told him? Has somebody told? Does that make sense? I want to know how the songwriter got the song. And then I want to know, like, I just want to know the connections of that, if that makes sense. But I just can't believe I never thought about it earlier. I just never ever thought, well, hang on a minute. Obviously the song is about Claire, but who told him about that? And at what point? Because the song's been around for a long time already, and Claire just went back. What's happening here? I just can't believe I never thought about it. But I just thought that was a fun little part. And I do love how that sort of ties off the episode. And it, you know, gets you into the, oh, there's more to this. People know. Somebody knows something. But I just love it. And I love the music. I mean, who doesn't have the Outlander soundtracks playing in the background most times? Is that only me? The Outlander music. I mean, that's a video all on its own. The Outlander soundtracks. They're fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Apologies if this video has been a bit of a ramble today. We have just entered lockdown number 7 for regional Victoria here in Australia, and my God, I am over it. I am so over it. We get locked up in this state and just at the blink of an eye. So currently our restrictions are we are not allowed to go more than 5 kilometers from our home. We're only allowed to go out for doctors, groceries, vaccines, things like that. Like, nobody in your home. And this lockdown, I wouldn't even usually bring it up in this kind of video with an Outlander video, but it's thrown my whole week off for content creation for videos. So I'm sorry if I've just been a rambling mess throughout this episode. I hope to be back next week, back to my normal, non-rambling self. So until then, please remember to take care of yourselves and each other, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.
Sing me a song of a lass that is gone.